All right, we're live. Tap in Birdie, CJ Cup, presented by Byron Nelson. Week. We got a fun one. We got Devin here. We're doing an earlier TIB. I apologize if any inconvenience for anybody, but I got some plans later, so couldn't do it later. Devin, how you doing tonight?
Doing well, Brian. Thanks for having me on. We've been talking about this for a little bit. This will be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, this 2 week stretch on the PGA Tour is definitely, not great. It's not anything unbelievable. Like, talking about the Zurich, talking about Byron, like it's a tough 2 weeks, but we got a new course next week. Then we get a major. Then we get some really good events in between, the PGA and the US Open. So this is really like the 2 week stretch you just got to get through. And then we got some pretty good golf coming up.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm actually really looking forward to next week. I know we have Josh going out there, and he'll have some on-the-ground stuff, but I'm really looking forward to that one on top of Quail.
Yeah, no, I think I'm going to go that Saturday with Kyle to Philly Cricket Club. For whatever reason, tickets are unbelievably expensive. Like they all sold out. It's like $400 to get in. But I know some people. I think I'll be able to get tickets. We'll be able to go. It's like 3 hours from me. And like there's real like you in fucking Texas, you get all the PGA Tour events. I know Texas is a big state, but the East Coast gets nothing. So if there's an event other than the Travelers, even remotely close to me, I feel like I got to go to the Truist.
No, absolutely. And some of the best events on tour that, we were betting on 5, 6, 7 years ago were up there, whether it was TBC, Boston, Liberty National. Like those were some of the most fun events to watch all year.
So, yeah, no, I agree. I'll be back at Travelers. Always a fun week. I was just in Connecticut this past weekend at Mohegan. Lost my shirt. Lost a ton of money. Not ideal going into the week, but we'll be okay. We'll make it through. Zurich Classic last week. Andy Noves, my good friend, and Ben Griffin get it done. I thought they were a pretty fair number. They were like 20, 2-1 for the week. Both winless on the PGA Tour, so we kind of have a Davis Riley, Nick Hardy situation where two guys get their first PGA Tour win at the event. I know you're a little bit lower on what this event means, but does the Zurich count as an official PGA Tour win if you've never won before?
I definitely think they stepped up relative to what we've seen from them on Sundays. I'd be lying if I said I counted as a full win. We drag Shane Lowry all the time last year. So just because we like these guys, I don't know if we can give them all the credit. But somebody mentioned in the Discord, it's a big day for them in their careers, all the exemptions they have for it. So it means something to them, and they still made a lot of money.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I'm with you. It's not quite a full PGA Tour win. Less so Ben Griffin. I do think Andy Noves will win on the PGA Tour, like as a solo eventually. Like this might have been the window. I don't know if he can kind of get to this form again in his career because he's just playing so unbelievably well. And, I'm not tracking every single shot at the Zurich, but he played really, really well. And they talked about it. Like, you kind of have to go with vibes pairings, like guys that are actually friends at the Zurich, because it seems to really help out. Like Rory and Shane last year, I know Hardy and Riley are good friends. Cam and Mark Leishman are obviously good friends. Like these two guys that just kind of get put randomly together, they're probably not worth betting, but that's a bridge we can cross next year at the Zurich Classic, I guess.
And I agree. And for me, I didn't put together a full card, but when you look at it in hindsight, they were one of the more obvious picks. Both guys playing pretty well this year. And not only that, they've got some battle scars through Sundays this year. Novak just last week. And I think that they were clearly ready for it. And then Ben Griffin getting all fired up with
he's kind of cringe, to be completely honest. Like he's genuinely great guy. He's obviously a very talented golfer, but the sunglasses, the Max Fly ball, like he's very memeable. He's just not what you think about on like an alpha PGA Tour golfer. So the slow-mo fist pump, couldn't find Novak. It was pretty funny, to be completely honest.
And I feel a little bad with him with the sunglasses because I remember he said something about his eyes. Like
he got like LASIK eye surgery or something.
Yeah, but the max fly ball, I mean, I just cannot get behind that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, they used it in alt shot, so it must have been performing well enough for Andy Noves to use it. But yeah, the max fly ball, the Lil Wayne promo video pre-week, it was fun. It was really good. I enjoyed that. There was some other golf. We had LIV Mexico at Chapultepec. I don't know how much of it you caught. I don't know how much you won, or watched or anything. But Joaquin Niemann has now won, for my numbers, 50% of the LIV events this year, which is absolutely ridiculous. And, with all the hype surrounding him at the major championships, it's just like, it just adds to it given how much he's winning on LIV.
I agree. And you look at, he really is I've called him the pyramid scheme golfer because we all did this last year. He won 2 LIV events early. He's playing well every week. But there's so much talent there that eventually you would think one of these PGAs or somewhere he's going to at least break through and be relevant on the weekend. I won't be there for it, but
upcoming 2 majors, we have Quail, we have Oakmont. Obviously, he's long enough to contend at both spots. Obviously, a great putter. Like, he's a very good all-around player. You're not betting Niemann in any of the next 2 majors. Like, you're just going to let it happen. You're not in.
Yeah, no interest for me. I understand Quail. I'm willing to stay away from him at a USGA type setup just for the sheer fact of he does hit a lower ball than most of the players we would deem to be on his level. So from a margin for error standpoint, maybe not as much. And I think that's kind of why you see him playing so well in those Australian courses as well.
Yeah.
And in these regions where he doesn't need to have the highest apex height like a Ludwig or a Hideki.
Yeah, no, I agree. I haven't really dove that much deep into the US Open and everything, but you look at who has done well at the US Open over the past couple of years, it's like Rory and Bryson, just the highest ball hitters. And he has the length to obviously contend, but I guess there's just something there. So, I don't know what it really is because he played decent at the Masters. He had a lot of good shots and he got out to a good start, but he just couldn't really put 4 rounds together. And honestly, him winning all these events has really lowered, because I'm fine betting LIV. I enjoy betting LIV. I don't have an issue with it. But him winning all of these events is really sucking out kind of my need or willingness or want to bet on LIV if it seems like him or someone else up top is going to win every week. And I'm not going to bet someone lower than 10-1 on LIV.
I agree. And I think he opened at 10-1 last week, like you just said. And that's the one guy at the top of the board I didn't even pay any mind to.
Yeah.
In hindsight, it's like, okay, I guess Niemann comes in hot. What is the most on-brand thing for that guy to do is come out and win right after the letdown.
Yeah, his in between the Masters, he went win. He didn't play well at fucking Trump Doral, and then he wins after. It's not a great look for him. And I know that the Masters was big for him. The Masters was big for him 2 years ago. Last year. But this Quail PGA is really huge for him. And I tweeted out, most people in the comments were saying maybe, LIV just isn't a good prep for the majors. Maybe he's playing against washed up people. Maybe it's only 3 rounds. And I understand that. I'm not really even there. I'm not the biggest fan of LIV, but I'm not there on that. LIV is an absolutely crazy, bad, prep for these guys because it's kind of weird. Bryson is very average on LIV unless he gets a good course fit, which a lot of these courses aren't. But then he's just unbelievable in, the Masters through US Open for the past 2 years. And then you even have Rahm, who, with the top 10 every week, which is kind of like a joke at this point. He has had, pretty disappointing major seasons since he's gone to LIV. We've saw Brooks now. I know he won a major, but his major championship form since he's gone to LIV, other than the win, isn't really that great. So it's just kind of pick your own adventure with these LIV guys in the majors, regardless of how they're playing on LIV at the moment.
I totally agree. And I think the top of the top 10, 15 guys on LIV, they're still pretty young. They still have all the desire in the world, except for maybe Cam Smith. Who knows what he's up to. But Joaquin Niemann, I think the emotion that he plays with on his sleeve at all times is pretty evident. And it probably puts a little too much into these majors. And you need to just remember it's just another golf tournament.
Yeah. And obviously, like, majors are very hard to win. It's not like, oh, like, just go out and win a major. But I mean, he really has to contend in one of these next two, and I think he's in both, 100%. So it will be interesting to, kind of see what he does over these next two, and the scheduling. Like, why are they going to South Korea this week? It makes no sense.
No, and the golf course, might actually be a solid preparation. It looks to be a pretty cool place, but that's so much unnecessary travel at a time where these guys probably don't want it at all.
Yeah. No, I don't understand the travel schedule of, like, in the U.S., like in Florida, these guys play the Masters. You go to Mexico, okay, close by. And then you go to South Korea, and then you come back for the PGA, which a decent, like, obviously not as many people as in the Masters, but a decent amount of LIV guys will be playing the PGA. Like, I don't know the exact number, but, I mean, it's got to be quite a few.
Yeah, I don't have – you would think at least 8, 10 of their guys. I don't have the exact number myself either, but all the guys we would think of, along with Dean Burmese in there as well after his finish at Valhalla. Yeah,
no, so that will be interesting, and I think LIV will continue to be a storyline in the majors. But I even saw some LIV accounts after the Masters being like, yeah, I know Bryson was up there, but it was kind of a disappointing showing at Augusta from a majority of these LIV guys. So I don't know if they could get it right at Quail. So we were talking, we want to talk some Ryder Cup. This is a great time of the year with nothing really going on. It's a very fun thing to argue. 2 summers ago, the JT, the Glover stuff, the Keegan stuff was really great. Love the debates on Twitter. And, Mayo and Jeff were talking about it. Usually, like, the European team is a lot more fun to fill out. But this year, the American team, it's true, can go in a million different directions, where the U.S. team is really more set in stone in the past. And this year, it's just like, there are so many different people that we could choose. So we're going to go through our teams right now. The real exercise is not if the Ryder Cup was being played next week. It is, with all the information you have now, what is your best projection of what the Ryder Cup team is going to be? That's kind of how I'm thinking about it, at least. Like, yeah, if the Ryder Cup was being played, on Tuesday, like, you might have to change it. But so it's your best projection of who the team is going to be. So we'll start with the US. Are you in agreement that there are 7 locks on the team? In my opinion, there are 7 guys that there is really no world in which they are not at Bethpage.
That's exactly what I have as well. Do you want me to list those ones? I'll
like
see if it
Scotty, Pat Cantlay, not Pat Reed, Xander, Colin, JT, Henley, and Xander.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's really any debate about those 7. I think they're all very solid players. I think they'll all be on the team. I mean, Russ Henley could fall off a cliff, potentially, but I do think Russ Henley will be there. So that leaves 5 spots open for Bethpage with, a pretty big pool. So my next 2 guys in that I am projecting will make it on the team, and in my own opinion deserve to be on the team, are Dan Berger and Mav McNeely. Are those 2 on your team?
I have them under a section titled contention, and if I were to project, I would definitely project Mav McNeely to make it. Although I don't know if that's the best thing, but I'm stuck in my priors a little bit with him.
Yeah.
But we had talked about it at Torrey Pines, and really since that time on, he's really sustained this level of play. I would think it'd be hard to not see him there at this point.
I agree. So Mav's on my team, Mav's on your team. Dan Berger, for me, I think, you like the experience he has at Whistling Straits. He's obviously friends with a lot of these guys. He's in the like boys clubs. He plays out of the same club as Keegan, I believe. I think Dan Berger, a win at Colonial at 18-1 or whatever, or something at Travelers. Like, I think, even if he doesn't win, I do think he's a guy that they're just going to take him. And then, the final 3 spots for me are very wide open. I'll go through with my 3 right now. Yeah. I do think that of the guys that have the least to prove, Brooks is definitely one of them. I'm not a huge Brooks guy. I did not think that he was going to win a 5th major. We've discussed Brooks's major count in the past before. But with how many teams he's been on, with what he did at Bethpage in 2019, I think he will find a way on the team. Is Brooks on your team?
Absolutely. You knew the answer. You knew the answer to that one. And 3 of his 5 majors have come up in your region of the earth. The ball striking's still good. His short game looked like a 5 handicap at Augusta. I think as long as he continues to hit the ball well, figure things out, you can't take some of these first timers over.
Agreed. Like, we got to have I'm fine having 1 or 2 first timers, but we got to have a mix. Our final 3 can't be Spawn, who I don't like Spawn, Harmon and fucking, like Novak or something. Like, we got to have a mix of kind of like established guys.
Totally agree.
There. Is Akshay on your team? Akshay is on my team. Akshay is friends with Keegan. They did an interview with Colt and whoever on their podcast. Keegan talked very highly of him. I think Akshay will be on the team, and he's on my current team.
I think I am down. Akshay is in the battle, like basically 12 or 13 for me right now.
Okay.
Looking at it, I would have to agree with Dan Berger. And that's just, I think when you look at his ball speed, he hits it longer and straighter than he did at his best when he made what we would probably call the best American team in the last 10 years. And if he can make that one, he can make this one. He doesn't need a win. So that brings Akshay to where he's probably a little more teetering the line than we would have thought 2 months ago. And so I'm actually going to leave him off for that last spot until he stops spinning his driver a quarter mile left at 4,000.
So who are your final 2 spots?
So my final 2, assuming that he doesn't just bottom out at the rest of the majors and he stays pretty competitive on LIV, I'm taking Patrick Reed. I know Kyle will appreciate that.
Okay.
I'm taking Patrick Reed, and then you might end the stream on this one right now.
It's okay. I want to hear the case.
Luke Clanton.
Luke Clanton on the Ryder Cup team in 2025. The Reed thing is interesting to me. Kyle and I have sent hundreds of text messages back and forth before, and I think we're in agreement that what he did at the Masters was not enough. Like, he has to really, contend in another major, win on LIV, win multiple times on LIV, playing really well over the summer, make efforts with the team. I understand what he did in 2014 and 2016 was great, but he didn't leave the team on great terms in 2018. Had a bad showing in France. I understand other people on the team had bad showings in France. Like, I understand that. I need to see a little bit more. Like, it's a joke, but him finishing runner-up in Macau on the Asian Tour means nothing, absolutely nothing to me. And people are talking about looking at his recent, like, dude, I don't care. He finished second in Asian Series event. It means absolutely nothing to me. So I get that. What is the case for Clanton? I'm not there. I know you are very high on Clanton. We completely disagree. I'm not there on Clanton. I'm not saying he can't be there, but I'm out on Clanton for the Ryder Cup team, unless he wins, the John Deere and, contends over the summer.
So my case for Luke would be for him to basically go the Ludwig Nikolai Højgaard route of where you're investing in your future with a guy that brings you upside. And last summer, he needs to get back to this, but last summer, I really believe he was about one of the 10, 12 best drivers of the ball on the planet. The combo of long and straight at 182 to 184 ball speed, where he hit as many fairways as Morikawa. He's put on a little speed since. He's at 190 now, but just like Xander and Cantlay went through a year ago, when you stop adding speed, it's going to take you half a year to learn how to locate it like a pitcher.
Yeah.
So I don't think he will duplicate last summer unless he starts to locate that. But if he duplicates last summer or wins Rocket Mortgage, 3M, whatever, although 3M was his one flop last year, if he were to win any of those, I think you're almost investing in a guy with upside over one of these journeymen that's playing the best golf of their life. Because Clanton, I think, is a guy that will play on 4 or 5 Ryder Cup teams.
Yeah.
And I think getting him in there, he's not going to bottom you out. And he's pretty easy to play off of when he's driving the ball like he was last year.
I understand the case. I just think historically the U.S. hasn't invested in younger guys. Like, they're just like, let's just bring the best guys there. But this team, I think the real issue with the team right now is that more blue chip guys that have been on teams in the past that are good course fits, 3 guys, in my opinion: Tony, Wyndham, Burns. All 3 of those guys are great course fits at Bethpage. All 3 of those guys have been on Ryder Cup teams before. All 3 of those guys are multiple time winners on the PGA Tour. But they are all playing like absolute dick right now. And of those 3, the person that I am most hopeful in and that I would give my final spot to, because I do think he'll turn it around, is Sam Burns. He was playing some really, really elite golf last season. You have the experience that he had in Rome. He's an elite putter. He's a very good driver. Obviously, the iron play isn't unbelievable. I don't want to bring him because of Scotty. Like, I don't need that. I think you put Scotty with Russ Henley. I don't want Scotty and Burns together by any means, shape, or form. But my final spot right now, I know he's not playing well, but it's more of a projection into how well he's going to play over the summer, is Sam Burns. And I do think that I think he has a better chance to make the team than Big Tone and Wyndham. But I don't know. I really don't know what Keegan is going to do. My question to you is, if Keegan was not the captain and it was Stu Cink, would Keegan be like, where would Keegan be right now?
I think he would be 9 or 10. I would put him before Akshay, and I'd put him before Luke too. I mean, St. John's guy, that's his course, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think there's some value in that. He doesn't nuke it, but he's a very underrated driver.
He is. He's more like, we're talking about, he's more in that like 170, like 8 range. Like, he's not like cruising at 180, but he's not like low 170s. Like, he can definitely, hit it pretty long off the tee. So I agree. And it's a good course for him for sure.
I agree. I would probably say that those first 2 off for me are Akshay, and I wouldn't go in the Burns direction. I'd actually go with Big Tone.
Yeah.
2 months ago, I would have told you put him on this team, but
Yeah.
he's really fallen off since. Like, at least the ball striking was good at the start of the year. But Tony has some work to do. His best golf, though, besides his regions, really are the Southwest and the Northeast.
Yeah.
He ran down Rahm at Liberty National. He was pretty relevant at the Travelers last year. I believe he has pretty solid history at TPC Boston. Maybe somebody in the chat could correct me on that. But the Northeast is just an area where I feel like Tony's ball striking, when it's at his best, he kind of separates in the essential areas for Bethpage.
And he's a guy like everyone likes. I mean, he was pretty average at the President's Cup, but he's a guy that everyone likes. So it is completely wide open. A lot of things can change. Like, who knows? I trust Keegan more than ZJ. I think most people do. It will be very interesting to see over the summer, what happens. But those 7 are locks. Berger, Mav on the team, Akshay, Brooks, and Burns would be my squad right now. if we, projecting out and with all the information I have, that is my 12. And I think it's solid. I don't think it's, amazing, but I think if they could get some of the pairings right, they'll obviously be in contention.
And you know me, I would actually love if the Americans did make a mistake or two picking their team.
Yeah.
But I do think when we were talking about that top 6, 7 of Team USA, the gap might be closer than ever between them and Europe up top, but the edge will always go to the Americans if they're in form.
Yeah.
That top 6 is really freaking good.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. So Europe now, this is, I don't have a full projected out team. Right now, I think there are 9 locks, maybe like 7 locks. Like I'm putting a couple guys in here, but my 9 right now, I think you would agree. Rory, Rahm, Hatton, Ludwig, Hovland, Tommy, Shane. I think Bob Mack and Sepp are on the team. I don't really know what they could do to not be on this team. The way they're playing on the best tour in the entire world, like unless they completely fall off cliff, which they could, I think Bob Mack and Sepp are on this team. Like I know you're a big Bob Mack guy. I'm there with Bob Mack. What he's doing is impressive. He was on the last team. Like Bob Mack's on my team. Sepp, I'm not a little cooler on him than other people, but I think those two are on the team, and everyone else I think is pretty safe.
I agree, and I have 8.5 locks in there.
Okay.
Now you could say 9.5, and I'm with you on McIntyre and Sepp. What they held their own as debutants 2 years ago.
Definitely.
And I think both of them are kind of on this trajectory since then. Sepp has gained at least 4 approach, and I think 13 of his last 15 starts, which is just unbelievable. And a really easy guy to play off of an alternate. Yeah. Just lives in the fairway. He can mitigate if he has some partner. He can mitigate the distance with his long to mid irons. And Bob McIntyre, look at a guy that won twice last year when he couldn't hit the center of the face with the driver. That thing's a weapon now. And I have a note here. His putter is just lost him this year. He has only gained putting in 4 starts this year. Last year, he only lost in 4 starts. So there's something he needs to figure that out a little bit. But I think when you look at when he's doing the hard things well in golf at a level he never has, you can't go away from him because he was fantastic in the last Ryder Cup.
Yeah, no, I agree. Beat Wyndham Clark on Sunday singles. Justin Rose was good with him. So who are your final 3? I think we're locked in on these 9. Who are your final 3 on this European Ryder Cup team?
So I really wanted Rosie to be done after last time. I felt that was a great.
Well, Rose is going to be captain in 28.
Yeah,
27. I don't think there's really any debate. Rose will be the next captain of the European Ryder Cup team. So that's where I don't know if they obviously want him as an assistant captain if he's not on the team. But I don't know again, I don't think these guys are thinking, what's best for the future. Like, let's make Rosa an assistant. I think they're like, we got to go with the 12 best. So I do think Rose definitely is very live and probably on the team right now.
Yeah, that Masters performance. I mean, I was very exposed to him in every kind of market except outright. And he surprised me. I mean, he really showed some fight. And I would have said, it's time. Let him go out on a high note, be remembered the right way. And the old man still got it. So I don't know how, if you're Luke Donald, you can look at he's a guy who's reliable. Maybe the long golf course gets to him. The driver is not a weapon by any stretch. He was hitting.
He was well behind at the Masters on a lot of these holes.
Yeah, but that putter, something about him in the Ryder Cup, and
he lives for the big events. So I could see it. Who are your final 2?
So I have Justin Rose, Sergio, and I'm really torn on this last spot between Aaron Rai and Matt Fitzpatrick, but I think I would give it to Aaron Rai just for
have to. I think you have to.
Golfer. And he's very easy to play off of. That guy does not
Yes.
hit fairways.
And he's such a good, like, long to middle iron player that at Bethpage, like, again, I don't think, they're going to set up Bethpage more scoreable. I mean, they've opened some fairways. They're going to shorten these holes. Like, they're making one drivable. Like, this isn't going to play as like an 8,000-yard major championship. Like, it's just not. They want birdies. They do not want, 2 birdies to win a match. Like, they're going to set this up to be scoreable, but I do think at the end of the day, it's still Bethpage, and like it's going to be difficult, and you're going to have a lot of mid to long irons in. And the U.S. team knows that they don't have a massive advantage off the tee. But I think Aaron Rai is a very good course fit at Bethpage, and the way he's been playing, win last year, like he should be on the team.
I agree. And Matt Fitzpatrick he's just absolutely terrible now. When he's relevant and just has some sort of life, he's a grinder. Another guy I think you could describe as reliable. He's going to make some pretty pivotal putts, but he just can't. He is a true liability right now on the golf course.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think he's there. Do you think that the Europeans will actually take Sergio?
It feels a lot like Patrick Reed to me, where
I think Sergio has a way better chance than Patrick Reed, and I think he is in better standing with the European team.
I agree, and Luke Donald and him are like that still, which is very good for him. But I think he needs to pop in one of these majors. I thought he was a somewhat easy fade going into Augusta. His history's been pretty terrible there since he won. But if he doesn't get into the mix, at least on the weekend, whether it's Quail or the Open, it's a little hard to justify because
I agree.
The LIV heater has cooled off a little bit.
Yes.
But he's another guy. I think you would rather take him than David Pooch, Tom McKibben, one of the Højgaards.
Are we leaving out the Højgaards? Like, should one of them be on the team? I mean, Rasmus is third in the points right now. I mean, he could auto qualify, especially if he pops at a major, which I could see him doing in one of the next 2. Like, I don't know. I think that it might be hard for them to take both Sergio and Rose and not take one of, Rasmus. I don't know. I don't know. Rasmus, given the DP World Tour membership or he might be more live than Aaron Rai, to be honest.
I wouldn't disagree with that. From a Luke Donald standpoint, not my own standpoint, because you look at what they did, Adrian Meronk a few years ago. Most people would have probably sided with him over Nikolai at the time, but Luke Donald was kind of playing the long game in a landscape game as opposed to journeyman on a heater.
Yeah.
And
so it will be interesting. It will be interesting. But again, I even throw Jaeger in the mix for maybe a final spot if he wins over the summer or does something. I do think Jaeger is talented enough to be on the European Ryder Cup team. I know they're really good right now, but I do think Jaeger, especially after he wins this week, is going to be in the conversation a little bit. I think it'll be close. Are you fully rooting for the Euros?
Of course.
Like, you have no alliance to the American team, even if they take Luke Lanton?
No, I was raised to be a European Ryder Cup fan by the people that got me into golf. My grandparents are all Swedish and Irish. So that was my upbringing. The last 16 years now, all I've known is rooting for the Euros. But I do root for the Americans in the President's Cup.
Okay.
I would
hope so.
Yeah. So so I keep up with both in that regard, but it's 100% full-fledged European fan. And I feel really good. I think the bottom end of the European team, if they hold the form, I think 7 through 12 is really a lot stronger.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's time to talk some CJ Cup, Byron Nelson this week. I know they've made some changes to the course. They last year changed it from a 72 to a 71. I think most people are in agreement. This is but targeting guys that are longer off the tee, good with their long irons, and are good putters that can get to 22, 23 under on a given week. Is there anything extra you're looking at, or you're kind of just looking at the Bombers putter types?
So A lot what you said right there. Well, you start on second base if you nuke the ball here. You have to be able to spike putting to keep the pace of the field and really reach that winning score. And I went in and looked at just the past and guys who were at the top of the leaderboard every year. What did they do and what did it take to get there? And I found it interesting. Only one person since it's been hosted at Craig Ranch has ever put a round in the 70s and finished top 2. So you really just have to go foot on the gas. You're never going to hit it great for all 4 days, and you better have a putter to pick you up on that day.
Yeah, you got to have the ability to shoot 8 under in one given round, because even shooting 68 every day, you probably finish like T18 or something, which is insane. Like the amount of guys going very, very low here is crazy. So I do think the odds board is pretty fair. Thanks for Scotty. But, it is kind of, a tougher week, obviously, with the field on the PGA Tour. I feel good about Scotty not winning this week, famous last words and everything. But I just think this course, I know he's had some good finishes here in the past before, and I know he's been putting well. But I'm, kind of good on him, reaching -23 this week.
I'm with you. He wants to bunt it around. He'll finish 5th, 6th, making $500,000 better than staying home changing diapers. Like, it's a good week for him. But
so you bet Jordan Spieth. What is your Spieth case this week?
So that we were talking about the scoring, and you said you got to be able to go out and shoot 8 under. That's another thing I would add is every single person to finish in the top 2 at this golf course since it started here, they've all shot 65 at least twice.
That's crazy. That's absurd.
So you better be able to really take it deep on multiple occasions, and that just comes down to having firepower. Like we talked about with the driving distance, that makes it easier to do so. And with Jordan Spieth, I can't help but feel like his driver is, relative to Jordan Spieth, he's a better driver of the ball than he's ever been in his life. He has been for a year. And even last year when he was battling the wrist injury all the way through, he was an unbelievable driver of the ball, more speed, more distance than before. He's gained off the tee in 23 of his last 25 starts. He's gained putting in 4 straight, just gained 3 approach at Heritage. And if you look at just history here, he finished T9 as the first round leader. He got to 25 under and finished second the year KH Lee won. I believe that was the second time KH Lee won.
Yeah.
That was 2022.
Yep.
And then last year, if you just want to give him the benefit of the doubt when he couldn't feel his wrist and elbow, of course he's not going to play well. He had a bad year, and we all stayed away from him for a reason. But a healthy Jordan Spieth in Texas, and really right next to his hometown, at a golf course he's nuked on multiple occasions, I really thought he'd be a little more popular this week.
Yeah, no, I just think like there's a lot of options down the board. And like if you're not betting Scotty, it's just like I'll probably just avoid that 20-1 kind of range, which we'll see what is the best strategy. I heard that Sanjay missed the cut in Asia last week, coming back. I think that's probably too much to ask for. Bet on, I think he's in like that 25-28-1 range. I think multiple people will say this is not a popular take at all, but I struggle seeing him getting to that low number that he's going to need to win this week. I know he, went low last year here, but again, there's a big difference between, finishing 19 under and T6 versus, going out and winning the thing. And I don't know. I just don't trust him. Sam Burns, I'm interested in to a certain extent. He found the irons at Heritage. This is definitely a Sam Burns golf course. In Texas, got to go low, got to be an elite driver, got to be good with the putter. Like I could see Burns, like I'd probably use him. If I don't bet him, use him in one and done or something. But if I could find a number on Sam Burns, I wouldn't be completely out.
I don't mind that whatsoever. And funny enough, the one guy that is shooting the 70s and still finishing the top 2 at this golf course was Sam Burns.
Yeah.
2021, shot 70 on Sunday. But he went 65, 62 the first 2 days. And driver putter, we know he can spike with the putter. I mean, that's how he made a living for a while. And he really pounds the ball. And like you said, coming into his own.
The irons are so unbelievably bad right now. I thought he gained on approach at Heritage. No, he 3 off the tee, 3 putting, like exactly kind of the lead in, but he's lost on approach in 7 straight starts.
My favorite saying with Sam Burns is when it's a golf course that asks you to be a man, he's going to tap out by Saturday. Well, the kiddie table can win here.
Yes, I agree 100%. I think it's a solid spot for him. I don't know if I'm going to get there, but this Mac Hughes, Pendy, Siwoo, Ben Griffin range, anyone kind of, striking your fancy there?
Not really. If I would actually bet Ben on before any of those guys, I bet Ben on here last year, and he made a real mess on, I believe, 12, where he went for the green from the real mess on the left on 12. I believe he made a double or triple, and he would have been pegged for the final pairing Sunday if he just had an iota of common sense in that moment.
So we both bet Jaeger. He was 50-1 on DraftKings. What is he like currently now? Is he in like that 30-1 range-ish?
The best I saw on him was early afternoon today. I had seen some 40-1 still.
Okay, yeah. I truly think that's an unbelievable bet. I think he is a better golfer than a lot of golfers that he's kind of surrounded with in this area. He has not been, unbelievable in his last 2 starts, but he made the cut at the Masters, which, one of his, only really majors he plays, gained on approach. Heritage, he was bad off the tee. Bad putting, but he gained on approach. So he's found something with the irons a little bit, and he just plays all the comp well. Won at Houston, 11th there this year, 5.7 on approach in Houston, which is a very similar golf course. 6th at Mexico this year. He was good in Mexico in the past. Like, you play Jaeger on courses where you can just absolutely rip driver with reckless abandon, and that's exactly what this course is, and he's playing it for a reason. He doesn't have to. I think 40-1 is a very fair number, and I really do like Jaeger this week.
I totally agree. You texted me a couple days ago and said that's the best number on the board. The sentiment is shared there. He was 30-1 here last year, and him and Ben on were my 2 first bets.
Yeah.
I thought he would be 30, much like you said, and even before he put on all this speed in the last 2-3 years, he liked the region, and now he can really optimize his game now that he, like you said, just nukes the ball and doesn't even think about it. And he steps into him. You would think he's at the home run derby when you see some of these drives, and he just pumps them, steps into him, like, God.
Yeah, no, I really like Jaeger this week. I do think he has a very good chance to win. Obviously, I'm biased. I bet him, but I really do like him this week. Where are you at on the Højgaards? I was pretty impressed with them last week, to be completely honest. They were putting really well. They were driving it really far. They're at fair odds. I mean, Nikolai went off this year. I think it was at Waste Management at like 20-1, and they've put together some decent finishes, and they're kind of in the 50-60 to 1 range. I could see myself straight up just betting both of them this week because I don't necessarily know which one is going to play well. But just kind of take a chance at 60-1 on both of them. Like, I don't hate that strategy at all.
I don't either, because whenever you sit there and you think one of them's going to pop, you're best suited just flipping to the other one without thinking about it.
Yeah.
So you just cover your tracks and say, hey, one of you will do it. If not both, because both have shown their flashes this year. I backed Rasmus in Mexico at a great course comp, and long approach gets a little leaky with him, but another couple guys who start on second base can just bomb it with reckless abandon. And at their core, they're some of the best iron players in this field.
Yeah. And they've won a ton on the DP World Tour. Like, I think they have that winning upside where you can trust them to a certain extent in the mix.
Absolutely. I mean, Nikolai came onto the scene last year off of a heater, and Rasmus has been winning since he was 19.
Yeah. Yeah, so those are interesting to me. I'd probably been going to avoid below 50 to 1 and just bet a ton of guys above 50, to be honest, this week, because I do think it is a bit wide open. I was on Celinda Velo last week, their first round leader, probably all I can expect for a 100 to 1 team at the Zurich Classic. But Celinda has 100% played the comp course well this year, played really well in Mexico. I think he was third there, 11th at Houston. Like his two best finishes this year are at Mexico and Houston Open, the two best comps. No brainer, have to bet it, right?
Absolutely. I'm in. I didn't get as good of a number as some people did. I bet a 75 that we were talking about. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And he has a sneaky combination of long and straight off the tee.
Yeah.
I know long approach has gotten away from him at times this year, but it's been good at the comps. Big greens, so he's going to have a little more room just to miss. He's not being asked to go play Pebble Beach. So I think he, for sure, is a spot where he pops. And if you've been back in Celinda the last few weeks, months, whatever.
Was there thousands of people that have been on the Celinda train. I mean, everyone's been waiting for this guy to pop off.
Exactly. And this is our time, really. It's also kind of the last spot on the schedule for this year until you get into an alternate event.
Yeah, like maybe like John Deere or something. Yeah, I honestly, I have a feeling I would bet it with the top 10. I like a top 10 or like an each way on him. Like, I don't know if he's done enough yet to, I know Highsmith's one out of nowhere, kind of, but I'd like some insurance on Celinda this week. I'm betting him. He's on the card, but I need some insurance on him this week, to be completely honest. Kind of moving down the board a little bit. What about Hisatune? Andy and Kyle were talking them up heavy before. And what about Jake Knapp? Is Jake Knapp just like too obvious, can't win? Because I mean, he makes all the sense in the world, and it looked like he was going to win this event last year.
I think Knapp can absolutely win. He was a guy that I was looking at heavily in probably a month ago, right before when he went off at the Cognizant and shot that 59 the first day. That was my first event getting off the train, so I was really dreading things there. But he's been rolling it this year, putting better than ever. He's healed up from that back injury to where he's starting to get the ball back out there again off the tee. And early in the year, he was kind of having to lay off of it a little bit. I don't mind it at all. I think he was 65 to 1. And after the way he carried Frankie Sappin, I don't know how you can shame that bet.
Yeah, no, I mean, Sappin is truly awful at golf right now. So the fact that they were even remotely in the mix, he's obviously feeling it to a certain extent here. Smalley, Kevin Yu, Hoey. I think Eckroat, I know he's playing bad and he's probably not going to win 3 times like in a short span, but I think he's a more talented golfer than his current price in kind of like that 70 to 80 to 1 range. Are you in on Thor? I think I'm in on Thor.
I can't get there on Thor, but that's one
because it would prove that he's better than Clanton.
Oh, I don't think they play the same sport.
Clanton can't make a 5-foot putt.
Thor can't hit a fairway.
Maybe, but I don't. I think they're very close, to be honest. I'm not in the amateur golf space, but I think they're pretty close, to be honest.
I was actually walking the Valero, and they were back-to-back groups. This was the first round, and I walked about 5 or 6 holes with them. One group had Thor in it. The next one had Ben James. And I text one of my friends who plays for a current ACC school. I was like, dude, Ben is so much better than Thor. And he goes, he's special, man. And some of that's a testament to Ben James, but I am not there on Thor. I think he's not quite a BSI, but he's close.
You think he could be a BSI?
Yeah, potential.
Okay. All right. Look, I don't know. I'm a bit higher on him, to be completely honest, but we'll see. You're on Toasty. What's the Toasty case?
He is on a heater. Another guy who's just great at the comps. His putting is pretty terrible. He would have been in a playoff with Higo if he didn't miss a 2-footer.
Kyle sent me 20 text messages on that for 4 days, so I'm familiar with the short putt he missed.
Yeah, but he's another guy. When you talk about having that gear to shoot 65 twice, I don't know if there's 15 guys in the field who I would trust more to do that. He might shoot 77 one day and break 4 clubs, but that's a risk I'm willing to take at the price.
Yeah, good outright bet in terms of just like, I'm just gonna it's boom or bust with him. He's either gonna be in contention or not. He's probably not gonna finish T15 or T12. Like he's either kind of going all or nothing, to be honest.
And he's really picked it. I believe he's gained around 4 in about 4 of his last 5 starts in approach. I mean, I think it was T2 at Punta Cana, but he also showed some life at Valero, and that's not a golf course I would think for him. I don't think it's the best comp here, but the conditions were really tough out there. I believe he was T12 or T13. And for him to hold it down at a spot where I really wouldn't slate him to play well, I think that's a testament that he's just in a good spot with this game. I'll never trust the mental game, though. He's a lunatic.
Fair. Very fair. Where are you at on Red State Taylor Moore? Data Golf's #1 value play. Complete driver putter. The driver has been really good before Valspar again in 9 straight. The putter's been good. Irons have been kind of off and on. I know RK is on him. Red State Timor. Where are we at?
I think that's the number that's one of the best prices on the board. The same way we were talking about Steven Yeager. I mean, 100, 125, whatever some of those numbers were this morning. He's a guy that nukes the ball. I mean, pound for pound, I'm not comparing them as golfers in the slightest, but when you just look at the stature of their body, he's somewhat similar to Rory in the sense of 5'8", 5'9", and he's just pounding it as far as top 15, 20 in the world, pound for pound.
No, I agree. I like Taylor Moore. I could be in, to be completely honest. He is going to be on the chart. I don't care. He definitely has big miscut potential. But I don't really see a world in I'm very confident in Sami Välimäki this week, to be honest. I mean, it's hard to have a better case for a guy over 100-1 than Sami Välimäki this week. His iron approach play recently 3.2, 4.8, 8.1, 4.2, playing real events, RBC, Valero, Houston, Valspar. 4th at Houston. And he finished runner-up at Mexico. So his 2 best ever finishes on the PGA Tour are at the 2 best comps. The putter's been really good. He's gained in, it looks like 8 out of the last 9. He's a driver putter guy. The irons are good. He could, hit it wherever. Great on the comp courses. I don't know what reason there is against Sami Vals this week. I expect he's going to be in contention.
I think a lot of people would probably bet him if you cut the opening number in half, and I wouldn't shame that. That did feel like a misprice. I won't be there myself, as when I was running numbers, I was shocked. He really doesn't hit it as far as we would think for a guy who's kind of big, chunky, stature-wise, he looks like Pot Eater. He's the big, chunky guy. You would think that he put a little something behind it. Obviously, he has the irons to make up for that and really mitigate that difference. But that's one of those that classifies under what our Discord says is you guys can have him. You have to take a stand somewhere, and that's just the one that I will have to be the Grinch this
What
week.
even is he I know he opened at 140. Is he now towards the 100-1 range?
Let me check. I want to say that I saw him all the way down to 100 on FanDuel.
Okay. I think that's so fair. I don't necessarily. Number. What about Cam Davis in the hundreds?
That, for a guy who can actually win golf tournaments and has proved it, I don't see how you can shame that one. No punishment for his daily drive off the face of the earth. He can make.
I just think it's a guy. He's more talented than his price this week, and I know the form's not good, but this is a 2-time winner on the PGA Tour. Granted, it was the same event twice, but I don't know. To me, I think Cam Davis in the hundreds is worth a shout, to be completely honest. Nico Etch?
I would lean Cam over Nico, especially with all the rain and how soft it's getting. Nico's really going to be up against it with just having to hit so many long irons. I mean, great iron player, but I'll take the guys who are starting on second base before I take him just at that range. But he probably is a better golfer than some of these guys who are BSIs. I mean, what is he, 130 to 1 still?
Yeah, I think Nico Etch is in that kind of 120 to 130 to 1 range, to be completely honest. Davis Riley.
I was on that train for, I don't know.
So why are you hopping off now with a light card?
Because I feel really good about the guys I have up top, and just in terms of giving me a chance to get there. And when Davis Riley at Valspar, it's just so ingrained in my mind that he should have won that event and just missed everything inside 4 feet for 2 days on end. I believe he missed 5 putts inside 4 feet, or 4 putts inside 5 feet on that Saturday. He should have been in the final pairing, and in what could be described as a putting contest, I can't do it.
Totally fair take. I bet him for Kyle this morning at like 7 a.m. That was like his first bet he made. So I know he's going to be, pretty popular right now and, in this field because he's been playing well. He's had some good results here. So I get the D Riley stuff, but I'm not sure if I'm there 100%. I think we talked about enough names. I got to figure out my card. I know you like to have your card early. I'm more of a Wednesday morning finalize type of guy, but great pod. Appreciate you coming on, and we got a new event next week for the Truist that I'm very excited for.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Do you have anything for LIV, or you have anything on your mind there?
What is it, a long or short course?
Pretty long, about 74.50, Nicklaus design with, you have 6 off the tee. There's water danger on 11 holes off the tee, 6 left, 5 right, pretty evenly dispersed. I mean, most Nicklaus courses favor a fader, but you can get away with it here. Like a lot of
I said I was not betting LIV again after Niemann. But I think if I had to bet somebody, I would bet DJ. He's been popping. I was on him last week. I would feel bad popping off if he were to win. I think he has the potential to win. So if anything, I would do single B on DJ at 28. What about you?
That's me with Tyrell Hatton.
I don't know how Andy watched like 2 hours of LIV and landed on he really likes Hatton in South Korea, but that's where Andy is right now.
I've been betting Hatton probably far too much. I've bet him 3 times this year, but he put a new driver in the bag the week before the Masters, and he has been driving the ball just as good as anybody on the planet since he put that in the bag. He hit it straighter than anyone at Augusta. Last week was great. The putter is not where I want it, but I can't go away from a guy who's putting himself in position on the final day like he is. And the Masters was always going to be a little too good to be true. It's one of those where I can't jump off now.
You're on Hatton 11-1 in South Korea.
Is that what it is? Right.
I think he's like around like 11, 12 to 1.
Yeah, I originally wanted 11. I will single bullet that without thinking. That I had a 14 last week, or a 12 with a profit boost to 14. Boost.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. If I'm betting one person, it's DJ, but I'm not doing a full LIV card or betting multiple guys on LIV. It's just I can't do it. I'm not there yet, to be honest. But great pod. Again, appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And I don't know who I'm having on for the Truist. I got to figure that out. But we should have a good week coming up. Then we have the PGA. We got a lot of good golf coming up. We just got to get through these 2 weeks, and we'll have a good season. So we'll see everyone next week. Hope everyone has a great night.